This debate over when to reopen, pitting economic concerns against public health, has now taken to the streets. Polling data shows the majority of Americans support restrictions to prevent the spread of coronavirus. But there have been some small pockets of protest against these measures. Our Yamiche Alcindor reports.
Oh, protect us now!
In the last 2 weeks, crowds of people protesting against stay-at-home orders have popped up across the country. Many say they are advocating for personal freedom amid the coronavirus pandemic.
You can't close America!
Some openly carry semi-automatic rifles. Others say they are there to support their local economies.
Liberate Colorado! Open our beaches! Open our beaches!
I'm not on house arrest. I refuse.
Small gatherings happen in at least 20 states, many at state capitals. Michigan has seen some of the biggest protests. In the city of Lansing, cars created a traffic jam. Abigail Sensky is a reporter with WKAR Public Media in East Lansing and is covering those protests.
For a lot of protesters I talked to, they were grappling with the fact that, their counties may have 100 cases or so, and they're not really the center of the epidemic here in Michigan. So they're asking for regional or industry-based exemptions for the places that are less affected in the state.
Sensky says at a recent protest, the majority of the nearly 4,000 people stayed in their cars, but a couple hundred did get out.
The people who got out of their cars near the Capitol, that looked strikingly similar to a President Trump rally. And they were waving lots of Keep America Great flags and wearing Make America Great Again hats.
President Trump has repeatedly voiced support for the protests. Last week he tweeted, "Liberate Michigan, Minnesota, and Virginia." He says it's understandable that people want to see social distancing orders eased.
These are people expressing their views. I see where they are and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me. But it's, they've been treated a little bit rough.
Jane Coaston covers conservatism in the GOP at Vox. She says these protests aren't as organic as they seem.
That's not to say that people attending them don't also have strongly felt viewpoints about these stay-at-home orders and strongly felt viewpoints about the response to the coronavirus pandemic themselves. Both things can be true at once, but these protests are very much tied to groups and individuals with ties to both the Trump administration and to existing right-leaning organizations.
Some groups organizing the protests have ties to President Trump's re-election campaign and Republican donors like Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. According to the New York Times, a law firm that advises the Trump Organization is also representing members of a protest group in North Carolina. And there's some support from national groups like FreedomWorks, which was involved in the beginnings of the Tea Party movement. The group's president says it is not organizing the protests, but it is helping organizers by training, building websites, and doing social media outreach. It is also conducting polls and sharing that information with advisors on President Trump's economic task force. Adam Brandon.
This is what they came up with, and all we can do is assist it. There's no grand plan that we're sitting around with a map saying we need to have an event here or there.
In an Associated Press NORC poll released Wednesday, only 12% of Americans said restrictions to prevent the spread of coronavirus go too far. A majority of Republicans also broadly support the restrictions, but there is a partisan divide. Republicans are about 4 times as likely as Democrats to say the measures go too far, 22% compared to 5%. Meanwhile, protesters continue to gather as the virus outbreak stretches on. Another demonstration is planned in Wisconsin Friday. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Yamiche Alcindor.